People may think that innovation is just brainstorming and it's an idea. It's much more than that. The way you get to the deep insight, to the ideation and then the execution. Internal, you might have a board meeting, a leadership team meeting. You don't have to work on the weekend, but your actions are saying something different. If you're looking for control or perfection, it's not going to happen.
Ever wondered what a real pharma CEO does in a week? The decisions, the pressure, the perks. In this episode, Cheryl Maley reveals the 5 essential skills every future leader needs. Whether you're aiming for the corner office or just want to level up your career, what she shares at the very end may transform how you lead forever.
First question, can you give us a look into what a week in the life of a CEO looks like? Earlier we mentioned probably only 0.01% of the world's population get to be a CEO. And if there are any cool perks that might inspire some of our audience who are maybe curious about, one day I'd like to be a CEO. What does that actually involve? Could you give us some insight?
I can say that no 2 weeks are the same. That would be it. Whilst there may be governance and cadence that are related to, management of a business, that could be, yearly or monthly or daily or weekly planning. Typically none of the weeks do look the same. And that comes down to, I think, because you are managing a lot of diverse parts of business, and that's internal and external. And a key part of a CEO role is making sure that you've got the right people in the right roles, because you can't be doing everything and you can't be everywhere. And so making sure that you build a strong team, that there's a good culture of transparency, open, honest discussions, and then the week looks like you may have external meetings, be it with clinicians or shareholders, investors, analysts. Internal, you might have a board meeting. They usually happen once a month. Leadership team meeting. And then, as going back to my first point around having, key people in the right roles and things, a number of days of my week will also be one-on-one catch-ups with my team. Ask them what they need, how can I help, what's getting in the way, how can I remove barriers for them, learning about where they're at and, what can I do to help support, what decisions need to be made. And that changes as the business grows or shifts, then the needs of the week change.
So what's the coolest CEO perk you can imagine? Is it unlimited coffee? A private jet filled with snacks? Let me know in the comments below.
So it's diverse, but when you ask what are the perks, I don't know that it's a perk necessarily of the CEO role, but I would say one of the things that I did not appreciate probably years ago when I joined the pharma industry is the distance it can take you around the world. For lots of different reasons, you may get to travel to different places, be it a conference or a meeting or many different reasons. And I have been really fortunate. I've travelled to a lot of places that I probably would never have had the opportunity to do so had I left it just to my own travelled itinerary. But that's been an amazing experience, and obviously to live in different countries as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. In Chinese culture, we have this phrase that goes, it's better to travel 1,000 miles than read 1,000 books, because you learn so much by immersing yourself in these cultures. And is there a particular country where that stands out in your mind that was a really interesting time away, or being able to experience that?
Yeah, look, on many countries that I've visited, I've felt that, and I felt like, how lucky am I to see this and to be in this place. And I think from a culture perspective, my time in the Philippines was amazing, because it was going into that role as the general manager with leadership experience, but actually when you get there you have to peel that back quite a bit, because culturally it's so different, and you need to make sure that you don't just step into the role thinking you have all the answers and this is the way we're going to do it. You do really need to step back, and it's a whole learning experience again. It was an amazing experience to really appreciate a different culture and to lead in that environment as well.
Yeah. And I think that's probably set you up for success in this current role. If I can, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking about an interview I did with Morena Matthews for our channel, and she went to a leadership conference and she talked about the different types of leadership. And from this study that she quoted, she said the ideal leader is a connector leader who is able to connect the dots between, all right, this person wants this development opportunity, and I know this team exists or this project. Yeah. And to your point, or to my point about being a CEO, you mentioned, or like trying to help the audience understand what a CEO does, connecting shareholders to what we're actually doing, connecting my team to their development. Is that a good way to sort of summarize what a CEO does? They're a connector.
Yes. Yeah. They're a connector and enabler, I think. Yes, yeah. It's a good way to describe it, I think. Yeah.
And work-wise, I think a lot of the audience in my generation, work-life balance, and we alluded to this, is really important.
Yes.
There is this, I don't want to say toxic productivity, but you hear the stories of Elon Musk, 80 hours a week, and like all the CEOs, like they're all like that. And if I'm speaking from my side, I'm like, I don't know if that's what I would aspire to be. Is
yes.
it? And so it makes me fearful. Like I'd love to lead, but I'm like, 80 hours a week. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Is it like that?
It varies. Okay. Some weeks you can have really intense weeks, and other weeks it's much more calm.
Okay.
So it does vary. My goal around that always is, though, you have to think about the impact not just on yourself, but also what are you role modelling for other people in your organisation.
Yeah.
And if you're working 80 hours a week, are you expecting your team to work 80 hours a week? Because I think in today's world that's just unacceptable, and people will obviously burn out, but you won't have people that will want to work for you so very long, and whatever you are signing up to yourself, you have to remember that everyone's watching as well, and they will be, if you're sending emails all weekend, then people will be responding. And you don't, that you go, oh no, it's all right for me to work on the weekend. You don't have to work on the weekend, but your actions are saying something different. And so getting that right approach, I think, for however you are working, is just being aware of the impact that it will have on others in the organisation as well.
Yeah. So encouraging to hear, and again, speaks volumes to your self-awareness and how your behaviour is actually impacting others.
Yes.
So it's really good to hear that. To the point of being a CEO, when something goes wrong in the organisation, you can't be everywhere all the time. How do you balance getting into the weeds and the details versus trusting your people to solve the problem? And I suppose the question is, how do you balance the bird's eye view versus the worm's eye view on the ground?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. The things will go wrong, there's no doubt, and change is inevitable. So if you're looking for control or perfection, it's not going to happen, right? So having the way in which you manage through those times, I think, is absolutely critical. I would say one of my strengths is that I'm incredibly calm in times when there are challenges or things go wrong. And when we say when things go wrong, you can have a whole range of things, right? It could be something small or it could be a crisis.
Yeah.
But being able to work through those moments and do it from a point of understanding what is the issue, what's the risk, before you jump into solution mode. There's an exercise that you can do with your team, and I think it is a really good exercise to do, where you draw a boat on water. You're just a simple diagram of the boat, and you put a hole on the boat above the waterline.
Yeah.
And you ask your team, if this was our boat and this was a hole, do you think I would want to know about it as captain of the ship? And you go around the room and people have a different view, because they'll say, no, the hole's way up high, I could fix that and I could tell you about it later. Or that hole's pretty close to the waterline, yes, I think we would know because there's a risk that the boat could sink. Just having that discussion with people is so enlightening, because it helps them understand where is your mark, for where you want to know about issues, challenges and things like that. And as a leader, you get a chance to say, actually, if it is a hole up there and it's a small hole, go ahead, fix the hole. Tell me about it after you've done it. That's fine. If it's down here, I do want to know about it. But I may still say, you go and fix it, but it will be important for me to know about it. And if it's down here, this is a crisis when we all need to know about it, and sooner rather than later. And people will get a feel for where your mark is, I guess, for when things go wrong, when to inform, when to involve, when it's really important for me to get involved in the detail. And you can work through examples, you can say, well, what would be an example of that? What is that? Is that a crisis? Is that and so they're really good discussions to have. And that's, if you do that up front, then I find you can work very well through small changes, big changes, It sets a good framework. Yeah,
that is the best analogy I've heard. I love that. Maybe because we're looking onto Sydney Harbour and just the picture of a boat and having that, I suppose, that crisis matrix. Is this like urgent crisis?
Yes,
this can be dealt with and inform CEO later.
Yes.
And the reason why the inspiration behind that question, I love podcasts.
Yes.
Becoming a recent content creator, I've tried to immerse myself in that. And I listened to a podcast, Grant Hackett. He's actually become a CEO of his own company. And he talked about that actually a lot of CEOs don't really get in the weeds. They just, my people do. And so it made me think, but he talked about how he likes to sometimes get himself in there because you kind of know, if it's a massive hole in the hull, you want to know. But if it's a tiny hole, and different leaders have to. So that I think your approach is amazing. It's very practical, right?
And I would say it's not just for CEOs. I think it's for any leader of a team. It's having those important discussions up front so that, we don't trip ourselves later on. The sooner you can have those conversations, it can save yourself so much time if you can have those really frank discussions up front. And there's transparency and there's vulnerability in doing it because you have to be, upfront about, what is your leadership style and where are your strengths, where are your, opportunities for growth. And that's all really good conversation to have earlier rather than find it out 6 months, 12 months down the track.
When the water's up to our
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Agree. Yeah, really good approach. Yeah. Good call out that it's relevant to multiple different roles.
Hitting like won't make you a CEO, but it certainly will make you feel like one. Don't believe me? Give it a try.
I alluded to you studied an MBA. If you created your own real-world MBA for young leaders in the pharmaceutical industry, what are 5 must-have subjects in the curriculum and why? If I can start you off with one.
Yeah.
Another podcast that I like to listen to, Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett, very clever man, interviews lots of interesting people. There's one person he interviewed, her name was Cody Sanchez, and she said a key skill people must have in this world is the art of the deal. And I would say it's called negotiation sales.
Yes.
So potentially I'm throwing already one on the cricket. If you agree, you're the headmistress, so you choose one on there. But keen to hear what 5 sort of young leaders today, if they aspire to be national sales manager, business unit head, general manager, CEO, what are the 5?
Yes, yeah. I would agree. I think negotiation skills is absolute core skill to have. It's not just in work. I think it's if you've got children as well. You can use it in so many different ways. It's and it is a really good skill to have. So I will take that.
That's one.
I think there are some core areas of business management that 30 years ago still are important today, and that is like financial management, legal understanding, be it employment law or corporate law. That there are some basics around those business aspects that I think should still stay within an MBA learning, regardless of what sector you're in. The other areas that I would say is around digital and AI and its application in business. I just think it's skill that you can spend a lot of time trying to understand it in snippets. But if you can understand the power of it in a business, in your business or a future business, then that's your start of, yeah. And it's just so important. The other thing I would love to add in there is innovation.
Yeah.
And understanding the process behind innovation, the power of it, the science behind it. Many people may think that innovation is just brainstorming and it's an idea. It's much more than that. The way you get to the deep insight, to the ideation and then the execution. And you can use that in so many different ways. And as a business and a leader in a business, you have to always be looking at how are you going to be changed, how are you evolving, how are you meeting the changing needs. If you get into the role and go, yeah, I'm here, this is great, I'm just going to keep everything as it is, then, the business probably won't be there for very long.
Yeah.
So understanding how you are going to grow is super important. Am I at 5?
You've got one more.
Okay.
Lucky
The
last.
the other thing I would encourage is around business planning. You're getting your 3-year outlook, your 1-year outlook. How do you build those plans? How do you chunk that down to your 12 months, your monthly, your weekly? What are you tracking? How are people rewarded, recognised? All of that is all tied together, and you go to, or creating a vision and your strategy. People aren't born with that skill, and certainly in many careers you don't always get the opportunity to go through those processes. And so that for me is such a core of any business, big or small. And that would be one I would say is a must do.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, investors love to say what gets measured gets managed.
Yes, yeah.
To your point of the earlier question, efficiency, effectiveness and complete alignment is knowing exactly where's the finish line, where we're trying to get to. Okay, so let's chunk it down. Where do we need to be? If we need to be here in 5 years, okay, where do we need to be? 3 years, 12 months, this month, this week, where are we at?
Yeah.
I like that. And that's how progress is made. I see it every day at the gym. You see the people that come and take notes and write down their numbers, and the people probably like me just rock up and wing it. So that's the reason why they look good. Really like that. So the 5, just to recap, negotiation skills or art of the deal. 2 is business management, understanding legal and governance framework. 3rd one is digital and AI. The 4th one is innovation. And the 5th one, business planning.
Yeah.
Super. Couldn't agree more. Sign me up for the MBA. Try and get a scholarship.
So you've heard what it takes to lead, but what does it take to start? In the final part of this series, Cheryl shares the career advice she wishes someone had given her. Plus, as an added bonus, we delve into where the future of pharma is heading. So if you're curious about the next big roles in life science, click here. Your future self will thank you.